Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of What Your Money Can Buy. In today's video, I'm going to show you what I just sold for a seller client of mine in January. What your money can buy for $1,040,000 in Markham. And while showing you what I sold, I'm going to use this as an example of where the market is at. And if you are a serious seller in today's market, what is the best way of going forward in order to achieve the best results? As a Toronto real estate agent, one thing I have learned in recent years is that you always have to have the difficult conversations with your clients, right? Because if you're just after listings and you don't bring up things your clients might not want to hear, stemming from a fear that you might not get the property, of course, I would be able to get more listings, but I would not be able to successfully sell them, or at least sell it to the best of your ability. Well, in this case, when my clients came to me wanting to sell the property, I made it very clear that in today's market, where we are in a downward trending market, although it might not seem as much, properties that sell are proper properties. What's gonna sell in this low inventory market where buyer demand is a little bit on the lower side, although increasing a bit, it's top shelf quality products. Part of having that difficult conversation about this property was when I came on to work with this client of mine to sell this property in Markham, the property was in kind of a rough shape. The first step was it was a tenanted property, right? And I'm always of the opinion that we should do whatever we can in our power to avoid listing a property while it's tenanted, right? If you really want to achieve the best results in selling a property, it has to be staged well, it has to be marketed well, and if you can do some touch-up works in terms of renovations, then that's great. Doing some work inside of the property, as I said, the property was in rough shape. So I simply had that hard conversation with my client and said, look, we have to do a lot of work in this property so we can get you the best price. Getting my client to have some patience, letting the tenant leave. We did a fresh coat of paint, we installed pot lights, and then taking those 2 to 3 days to get it professionally staged. Professional staging in a down market such as this helps a ton. So after we did all the work before actually bringing on the property into the market, within 3 to 4 days, we got upwards of 50 to 60 showings. Because guess what? Once again, we did the proper work. Property here in question, it is a 3+1, 3 washroom. It's a semi-detached 2-story property in Markham, so that's why we have to go to the east side of the city right now. We're on the highway, and one of the very favorable attributes of this property is that it's backing into a park. Now, when a property is backing into the park, in my experience, that can go one of two ways, and it's usually very little middle ground. Either buyers love the fact that a property is backing into the park because they have a good view from their backyard, you know, green spaces, just seeing people watching in the summer months, quick access to the park. Or conversely, on the flip side of things, people sometimes actually hate the fact that a property might be backing into a park or backing into a ravine. And usually it stems from noise or security concerns or privacy issues. Me personally, if you're asking my opinion, I fall on the former side of things. I think I really love a property that would be backing into a ravine or a park, but I understand the concerns of people with regards to privacy as well. But nonetheless, there's a certain demographic of people, right, that find this to be a privacy issue. Luckily, the offers we had on the table, the buyers who were really interested in this property, did not fall under that category. Obviously, right now it's winter time. We see a dusting of snow into the backyard in terms of the park there. But overall, you're looking at a 22 by 100 or so lots, with the room count overall being 10. And we managed, after 50 to 60 showings within 3-4 days, to receive multiple offers. Keep in mind, we were not even attempting a bidding strategy. And why did this property get so much attention? Well, partially it has to do with what I've discussed thus far. The fact that in a low supply market, the properties that are quality stand out much more. And also furthermore, particularly having to do with the location of this specific property, it is confined in a very small residential pocket. What I mean by that is it's a stretch of, I would probably have to say, a radius of 0.7 to 1 kilometer radius of just residential properties of semis and detached properties, further surrounded by mostly commercial and office spaces and commercial spaces that people require access to. The IBM head offices, TNT supermarkets, a bunch of commercial and office spaces. So it was really sweetly situated, meaning that this property is in an area where there is a immediate vicinity of residential properties, semis and detached, and currently we're driving around in that confined neighborhood. In a sense, it works to its advantage. Due to its very nature, there's not much inventory that pops up here. You can imagine someone who wants to work at IBM and needs to buy a property near the IBM head offices in Markham. Well, there is only so much inventory at any given moment in time, and this worked greatly to our advantage. This is one of the first things when I met with the seller, saw that, okay, we really can stand out. So I don't know who this young, handsome man is. I was just driving down the street and he caught my attention. Besides that, let's take a look at the property. Initially, we were asking for $1,058,000 and we ended up going with $1,040,000 offer. I'll explain the context as to why a little bit later.
But first, let's take a brief look at the property. This is some basic drone footage, as you guys can obviously see backing into the park. Now, let's enter the property here. We have a semi-detached, as I mentioned, the first floor. This is back when it was properly staged after all the work was done. It's a wraparound kitchen, common with a semi-detached in this area, a older semi-detached, as you guys can see. As a result, I hope it's more obvious why all the work, the pot lights, the paint job, the professional staging was more vital than ever. As we go upstairs, you guys can see the primary bedroom first. It's on the smaller side, there's no doubt, and one of the full washrooms is upstairs. This is the hallway that connects all the 3 bedrooms. This is typically used as a study, and this is the second bedroom. And then lastly, the third and final bedroom that could be used for whatever purpose deemed necessary. You definitely need to know the target demographic of the property you're selling in this type of market. And clearly the target demographic here was a first-time home buyer who needed something close to the IBM head offices, and the fact that it was backing into the park helped.
So let's head back inside. Let me show you upstairs and tell you a little bit more about how this deal came about and how we sold it at $1,040,000. So yeah, so we're upstairs in the property now. Once again, it's a 3+1. So 3 bedrooms are upstairs, 1 full washroom is upstairs, a half washroom is in the main floor where I was walking around earlier, and then there is a +1, so a bedroom in the basement and another washroom in the basement. So here, as we for instance walk into the primary bedroom, right? As you guys can see, the property is on the smaller side, but this is not anything out of the norm for the semi-detached properties in this area, in this confined pocket that we were talking about. And when we were looking at how to price this property, we had 2 options, right? We could have gone with the typical bidding war strategy, which is becoming a little bit more common now that the market is, you know, turning up a bit, not too much, but definitely compared to end of 2022. I know we're hearing about bidding wars all over the place, how bidding wars are back. Well, actually, when we take a look at the numbers, we take a look at the facts, we just simply see that the bidding strategy is being attempted more and more, but a lot of bidding wars are failing. So it could be a good strategy in a low inventory market. Nonetheless, if it's applied blindly, it's gonna lead to failure. But as we walk into the second bedroom, right, we priced it at $1,058,000. We had offers higher than $1,040,000. That's right, we had an offer at $1,050,000. Why did we decide to go with the $1,040,000 offer as opposed to the $1,050,000 offer? Well, guess what? When you have so many showings, as I mentioned, within 3-4 days, we had about 40-50 showings and so much demand for a piece of property as we enter into the third bedroom upstairs. If I'm negotiating on the behalf of the seller, my job is to get the best deal for the seller. And part of getting the best deal for the seller is not just about the price point, but about if the offer is firm or not. Shortly put, the $1,050,000 offer we had, which was $8,000 shy of our asking price, was not a firm offer. They were asking for 5 business days financing condition. Whereas with the offer we accepted, the $1,040,000 offer, we managed to not only bring up the price, but also make them go firm. So no financing condition, no inspection condition. And in today's market, I think a firm offer is worth $10,000 to $15,000. I told my sellers, I would much rather you have $1,040,000 today as opposed to taking the risk of not having $1,050,000 in 2 weeks or a week.